Dear friend, today, I want to share a fundamental truth that transcends the world of diet and supplements. A truth about how your body and mind work together to sculpt muscle. We often hear that consuming enough protein is the secret sauce of muscle growth. While it's certainly essential, the real magic happens in a place most people overlook: your nervous system. Let's break this down. Mechanical tension is a fundamental driver of muscle growth and adaptation. Yet its role often goes underappreciated in discussions about how to build muscle effectively. Most people intuitively understand that lifting weights challenges their muscles, but few realize that what really matters is the force applied to those muscles through deliberate, controlled tension. Mechanical tension isn't just about how heavy the weights are, it's about how you apply that weight, how you engage your muscles, and how consistently you can sustain that tension throughout each set and each rep. When you create mechanical tension in a muscle, you're essentially stretching and contracting the muscle fibers under load. This process deforms the internal structures of muscle cells, specifically the sarcomeres, which are the fundamental units of muscle contraction. This deformation generates a cascade of biochemical signals that tell the muscle, we need to be stronger, we need to grow. These signals initiate protein synthesis. But more importantly, they trigger satellite cell activation. Satellite cells are the helper cells that donate their nuclei to muscle fibers, enabling them to grow bigger and stronger. But mechanical tension does more than just send a message to your muscles, it also sends a message to your nervous system. When you lift a weight with intent and control, your nervous system has to work harder to stabilize your joints and recruit the right motor units. These motor units consist of a motor neuron and all the muscle fibers it controls. The larger the motor unit, the more powerful the fibers it recruits. When you create sufficient mechanical tension, you're telling your nervous system to bring these larger, more powerful motor units into play, units that are essential for creating real, visible muscle growth. Achieving effective mechanical tension requires a balance of load and control. Lifting a weight that's too heavy can lead to compensatory movements that shift tension away from the target muscle and onto other muscles or even joints. On the other hand, lifting too light of a weight won't create enough tension to spark meaningful adaptation. The sweet spot is using a weight that challenges you in the last few reps of each set, where you're still in control but the effort is real and unmistakable. The nervous system's role in this cannot be overstated. Every time you perform a repetition with proper form and deliberate control, you're reinforcing the communication pathways between your brain and your muscles. This neural drive enhances motor unit recruitment, teaching your nervous system to fire more efficiently and in more coordinated ways. In practical terms, this means you're not just getting stronger muscles, you're becoming more skillful at using them. The concept of mechanical tension also ties into time under tension. The idea that the longer you can maintain force on the muscle during a set, the more pronounced the growth stimulus becomes. Slower, more controlled reps increase the duration of tension, thereby amplifying the biochemical signals for hypertrophy. Finally, mechanical tension isn't something that only happens in the gym. The nervous system encodes these patterns of tension, integrating them into your overall neuromuscular blueprint. That's why focusing on quality reps, not just quantity, is crucial. When mechanical tension is properly harnessed, it forms the foundation of a training program that not only builds bigger muscles, but also makes you more capable, more resilient, and better equipped to tackle the challenges of both your workouts and your daily life. The nervous system plays an absolutely critical role in muscle growth, one that goes far beyond simply telling your muscles to contract. At its core, the nervous system acts as the command center, orchestrating how muscles are engaged, how much force they produce, and how effectively they can adapt to the challenges of resistance training. This connection between the brain and muscles, often overlooked, dictates not only how well you can train but also how well your body can grow. Let's start with the basics. Your brain sends electrical signals down your spinal cord and into the motor neurons that innervate your muscle fiber. These signals, called action potentials, are like digital pulses that tell the muscle fibers to contract. But it's not just a simple on-off switch, it's a highly coordinated dynamic process. The rate at which these signals are sent, the firing frequency, and the number of motor units recruited both play a crucial role in determining how much force your muscle can generate. The nervous system has an incredible capacity to adapt to training demands. Early in any resistance training program, the gains you see are often not due to increased muscle size but rather to improvements in how your nervous system recruits and coordinates muscle fibers. This is why beginners can make rapid progress in strength even if their muscle size doesn't change much in the first few weeks. Essentially, the nervous system is learning how to better engage the available muscle mass. Beyond basic motor unit recruitment, the nervous system also regulates how effectively different muscles work together in complex movements. This coordination is often referred to as intermuscular coordination, and it's critical for maximizing the efficiency and safety of your lift. For example, when performing a squat, the brain must coordinate the activity of the quadriceps, hamstrings, glutes, lower back, and even the core muscles. The more efficient this neural coordination, the more stable and powerful the movement becomes. There's another layer to consider: the role of the nervous system in managing fatigue and preventing injury. The brain constantly monitors sensory feedback from the muscles, joints, and tendons through receptors like muscle spindles and Golgi tendon organs. This feedback tells the brain how much tension the muscles are under and whether adjustments need to be made to protect against overload. When the nervous system detects excessive strain, it can inhibit muscle activation to prevent injury, even if the muscle is technically capable of producing more force. This protective mechanism ensures that you don't push beyond safe limits. In practical terms, all of this means that your mind-muscle connection isn't just a feel-good phrase, it's a literal biological phenomenon. The more you focus on engaging the target muscle during exercise, the more you reinforce these neural pathways. Studies show that intentional focus on muscle engagement, known as internal cueing, can increase the recruitment of specific motor units and amplify the growth stimulus. Moreover, the nervous system's role in recovery cannot be ignored. When you sleep and recover, the brain recalibrates these motor patterns, integrating the day's training into the broader network of motor skills and strength. This consolidation process is why high-quality sleep and stress management are essential parts of any effective muscle growth program. It's not just about giving your muscles time to heal, it's about giving your nervous system time to rewire and adapt. In the end, muscle growth is never just about the muscles themselves. It's a collaborative effort between the brain and the body, with the nervous system acting as the architect and conductor of the entire process. By understanding and respecting this interplay, you can train smarter, recover better, and build muscle that is not only bigger but also more functional and enduring. Motor unit recruitment and efficiency are essential pieces of the puzzle when it comes to maximizing muscle growth. A motor unit consists of a motor neuron and all the muscle fibers it innervates. The key to understanding how the nervous system drives muscle hypertrophy lies in how these motor units are progressively recruited and how their efficiency evolves over time. When you perform a movement, not all muscle fibers are activated at once. The body recruits motor units in a specific order, a concept known as the size principle. Smaller, low-threshold motor units are activated first. These units are responsible for generating low levels of force and are involved in activities requiring endurance or precision. As the demand for force increases, the nervous system begins to recruit larger, higher-threshold motor units that contain more and larger muscle fiber. These high-threshold motor units are the real heavy hitters when it comes to muscle growth, because they have a greater potential for hypertrophy. During low-intensity activities or lightweight lifting, the nervous system might only recruit the smaller, fatigue-resistant motor units. But when you perform a challenging set with moderate to heavy loads, or push to near failure, the nervous system is forced to call in the bigger motor units. This is where the magic happens. Those larger, high-threshold motor units have the most capacity for adaptation and growth. This progressive recruitment is a cornerstone of effective training. The more you push a muscle to its limit, the more you require your nervous system to bring in those larger motor units. This is why training with sufficient intensity is so important, not just to fatigue the muscle, but to challenge the nervous system to fire those powerful, growth-prone fibers. Motor unit efficiency also evolves as you train. In the early stages of a resistance training program, much of the strength gains you experience come from improved neural efficiency rather than an actual increase in muscle size. Your brain learns to send stronger, more synchronized signals to the muscle fibers, reducing the noise and improving the precision and force of each contraction. This improved neural drive means more muscle fibers are working together smoothly, which translates to better performance and sets the stage for subsequent hypertrophy. But it doesn't stop there. The nervous system can also fine-tune how quickly and forcefully these motor units fire. This firing rate or rate coding is another aspect of how the nervous system can adapt to training demands. High-intensity lifting not only recruits larger motor units, but also trains the nervous system to fire these units at higher frequency. The result is a more powerful, more forceful muscle contraction, again a critical factor in stimulating growth. Moreover, the nervous system's ability to recruit motor units efficiently is highly dependent on focused, intentional effort during exercise. This is where the concept of mind-muscle connection comes into play. By concentrating on the specific muscle you're working, you can amplify the neural signals that target that muscle, improving recruitment and reinforcing the neural pathways that support hypertrophy. All of this underscores the fact that building muscle isn't just about the muscles themselves. It's about how well your nervous system can call those muscles into action. If you want to maximize growth, you need to train in a way that continuously challenges the nervous system to recruit those high-threshold motor units. It's about deliberate, controlled, and progressive loading, teaching your brain and body to work in concert to tap into their full potential. In doing so, you're not just growing bigger muscles, you're forging a more efficient and powerful neuromuscular system, one that adapts to whatever challenges you throw its way. The phenomenon of neural adaptation is a cornerstone of early-stage strength and muscle development. Yet it's often overshadowed by discussions about hypertrophy and nutrition. When you first embark on a resistance training program, most of the initial improvements in strength and performance don't come from increased muscle size. They come from the nervous system learning how to better control and coordinate your muscle. At the start of a training journey, the nervous system undergoes a process of recalibration and refinement. Essentially, it learns how to activate more muscle fibers more efficiently and how to fire them in a more synchronized and powerful manner. This is because the body's default state is one of energy conservation. It only recruits the muscle fibers absolutely necessary for a given task. When you introduce new challenges through weightlifting, the nervous system begins to adapt by improving its ability to call upon these fibers more readily. One key aspect of neural adaptation is the enhancement of intramuscular coordination. This term describes how well the individual muscle fibers within a single muscle work together. During the early weeks of training, the brain becomes more adept at synchronizing the firing of motor units within the muscle. This more synchronized firing leads to stronger and more forceful contractions, even before any noticeable changes in muscle size occur. It's like upgrading the software before the hardware. The nervous system becomes more proficient at using what's already there. Intramuscular coordination is another dimension of neural adaptation. This refers to how well different muscles work together during complex movement. For example, in a compound exercise like a deadlift, the glutes, hamstrings, spinal erectors, and core muscles all need to be engaged in a harmonious, coordinated way. Early in training, the nervous system learns to fine-tune this collaboration, making each repetition smoother and more effective. This improved efficiency translates to better performance and sets the stage for progressive overload, which is essential for muscle growth. A fascinating aspect of neural adaptation is the reduction of inhibitory signals from protective sensory mechanisms. Within your tendons and muscles are sensors like the Golgi tendon organs, which act as safety brakes, limiting force production to prevent injury. In the early weeks of training, these safety brakes are dialed down slightly, allowing you to generate more force and tap into more of your muscle fibers. This recalibration doesn't eliminate the protective mechanisms entirely, nor should it, but it does allow you to safely push closer to your true strength potential. Importantly, these neural adaptations also reinforce the mind-muscle connection. As you develop better neural efficiency and motor unit recruitment, you become more attuned to how your body moves and how to engage specific muscles. This heightened awareness makes each repetition more effective and purposeful, amplifying the signals that drive muscle growth. Another often overlooked aspect is the role of deliberate practice in solidifying these adaptations. When you train with focus and intent, the nervous system doesn't just passively adapt, it actively rewires itself to become more proficient at that task. This process is known as neuroplasticity, the brain's remarkable ability to form new connections in response to experience. So when you lift weights with precision and control, you're not just getting a workout, you're literally reshaping the neural pathways that govern movement and muscle activation. In sum, neural adaptation is the essential first step on the path to hypertrophy. It sets the stage by teaching the nervous system to recruit and coordinate muscles more effectively, making future growth and strength gains possible. It's a testament to the fact that muscle growth isn't merely a mechanical process, it's deeply intertwined with the brain and nervous system's capacity to learn, adapt, and optimize performance. The idea of the mind-muscle connection is often brushed aside as a buzzword in fitness circles, but it's actually rooted in the intricate workings of the nervous system. At its core, this concept is about how your thoughts and focus can directly influence the way your nervous system engages muscle fibers, and ultimately how your muscles adapt and grow. When you perform an exercise without much thought, the nervous system tends to take the path of least resistance. It recruits muscles in a way that gets the job done but may not necessarily target the specific muscle you're aiming to develop. For instance, during a biceps curl, if you're not truly focused on the biceps doing the work, your forearms and shoulders might compensate. This results in a less effective stimulus for the biceps themselves. However, when you consciously direct your attention to the muscle you want to engage, the nervous system adjusts. It enhances the recruitment of motor units in that muscle, leading to a more precise and forceful contraction. This is the essence of the mind-muscle connection, your brain's capacity to dial in the communication to a specific muscle group, effectively telling it to take on more of the load. This isn't just an abstract idea. There's solid scientific backing. Electromyography (EMG) studies have demonstrated that when individuals intentionally focus on contracting a particular muscle, there is an observable increase in that muscle's electrical activity. In other words, your brain can literally amplify the signals it sends to a muscle just by shifting your focus. This heightened neural drive translates to a stronger contraction, which can in turn lead to a more robust stimulus for growth. The benefits of this mind-muscle connection go beyond simply increasing muscle activity in the short term. Over time, consistently focusing your attention on a muscle during exercise can help reinforce the neural pathways that make that muscle's recruitment more efficient and automatic. It's like carving out a well-worn path in a forest. The more you travel it, the easier and faster it becomes to walk that path in the future. This process of neural reinforcement helps make every rep more effective in the long run. Practically speaking, this means being present during your workouts, really feeling the stretch and contraction of the muscle with each repetition. It's about slowing down just enough to ensure that the targeted muscle is actually doing the work, not just going through the motion. This doesn't necessarily mean lifting lighter weights, but it does mean lifting with control and intention. The mind-muscle connection also plays a critical role in injury prevention and longevity. When you're deeply aware of how your body is moving and which muscles are engaged, you're far less likely to rely on compensatory patterns that can strain joints or other muscle groups. This mindfulness not only enhances muscle growth but also ensures that your movement patterns remain safe and sustainable over time. Furthermore, this practice can have a significant impact on motivation and consistency. Training with focus and intention turns the workout into more than just a physical task. It becomes an active dialogue between your mind and body. This heightened engagement can make your training more rewarding and fulfilling, increasing the likelihood that you'll stick with it over the long term. Ultimately, the mind-muscle connection is a testament to the remarkable adaptability of the nervous system. It underscores the idea that muscle growth isn't purely mechanical, it's a dynamic neurological process that's shaped as much by your thoughts and focus as it is by the weights you lift. By harnessing this connection, you're not just building bigger muscles, you're cultivating a deeper level of skill and control that will serve you in every movement you make. Protein synthesis is undoubtedly a vital part of muscle growth, but it's far from the only piece of the puzzle. While it's true that lifting weights triggers an increase in muscle protein synthesis (MPS), this process is just one step in a much larger web of neurological, hormonal, and metabolic events that collectively drive real, sustained hypertrophy. Understanding this interplay is crucial because focusing solely on protein intake or supplementation can leave significant gains on the table. Let's start by clarifying what muscle protein synthesis really is. After a resistance training session, your muscles ramp up their production of new proteins, repairing and reinforcing muscle fibers that were damaged by the workout. This response is essential. It's the raw material your body uses to build muscle. However, protein synthesis itself doesn't determine how much muscle you ultimately build. What matters just as much, if not more, is how well your body coordinates this process through the nervous system and how it balances it with protein breakdown, a process called muscle protein breakdown, or MP. For hypertrophy to truly take place, the rate of muscle protein synthesis has to outpace the rate of muscle protein breakdown over time. This net positive protein balance is influenced not only by nutrition but also by the quality and intensity of your workouts, and critically by how effectively your nervous system can engage and fatigue the muscle fibers that need to grow. Without proper mechanical tension and neural recruitment, even perfect nutrition won't maximize your growth potential. Beyond the balance of synthesis and breakdown, there's the role of hormonal signaling. Resistance training triggers the release of anabolic hormones like testosterone, growth hormone, and insulin-like growth factor 1, IGF-1. These hormones amplify the muscle-building response, but their effects are modulated by how well the nervous system can engage the muscles during training. In other words, it's not just about creating an environment conducive to growth. It's about sending the right neural signals during training to ensure those hormonal surges are put to good use. Moreover, the nervous system doesn't just influence which fibers are recruited, it also governs how well the muscle adapts to these hormonal and nutritional signals. If the nervous system isn't trained to recruit high-threshold motor units and to coordinate movement efficiently, your muscles might not fully capitalize on the anabolic environment you're creating. That's why focusing solely on protein intake without addressing the neurological side of the equation can leave growth potential unrealized. Recovery and sleep are also essential here. When you sleep, your nervous system consolidates motor patterns and reinforces the neuromuscular pathways you've trained during the day. It's during these recovery periods that your muscles actually rebuild and grow strong. If you're not sleeping enough or managing stress, the nervous system remains in a state of heightened alert, which can impair not only your recovery but also your ability to recruit muscle fibers effectively in future workouts. The nervous system's influence extends even further. It determines how efficiently you can use the nutrients you consume by directing blood flow to the working muscles and coordinating metabolic processes that fuel recovery and growth. This systemic control means that simply adding more protein or calories to your diet won't necessarily result in more muscle, unless your nervous system is fully engaged and trained to support that growth. In essence, muscle growth is an elegant symphony of signals: mechanical tension from resistance training, metabolic stress, hormonal responses, and importantly, neurological control. Protein synthesis is like the instruments in this orchestra, but the nervous system is the conductor that ensures everything works in harmony. By recognizing this, you can train more intelligently, focusing not just on what you eat, but on how you move, how you recover, and how well your nervous system can rise to the challenge of each workout. This holistic approach unlocks the true potential for lasting, meaningful muscle growth. In conclusion, it's clear that muscle growth is not a purely mechanical process, nor is it solely a function of how much protein you consume. While nutrition and adequate protein intake remain fundamental to supporting hypertrophy, the real drivers of lasting and meaningful muscle growth reside within the nervous system. This intricate network orchestrates how motor units are recruited, how efficiently they fire, and how well they coordinate with one another to produce force and adapt to training stimuli. At the heart of this process is the fundamental role of the nervous system in managing recruitment threshold. As we explored, it's not enough to simply move weight from point A to point B. To truly stimulate hypertrophy, you must engage those high-threshold motor units, those larger, more powerful muscle fibers that possess the greatest capacity for growth. This requires focused, deliberate effort and an understanding of the mind-muscle connection. That intentional focus on the working muscle can amplify neural signals and optimize recruitment patterns. We also examined how early-stage neural adaptations prime the body for growth. Before your muscles even begin to grow, the nervous system refines its coordination and efficiency. This neural recalibration sets the stage for progressive overload, ensuring that your muscles are challenged and your nervous system is continually learning to fire more powerfully and more precisely. Furthermore, the mind-muscle connection transcends simply feeling the burn. It represents a deeper level of communication between your thoughts and your physical output, reinforcing the pathways that support hypertrophy. And finally, the interaction between protein synthesis and neural engagement illustrates that nutrition and training do not exist in separate silos. They work together, but it's the nervous system that ensures the anabolic environment you create is fully utilized. By recognizing the nervous system as the architect and conductor of muscle growth, you empower yourself to train smarter, recover more effectively, and unlock the full potential of your effort. Muscle growth is not just about bigger biceps or a stronger back. It's about forging a neuromuscular system that is adaptable, resilient, and capable of remarkable feats of strength and control. Embrace the role of the nervous system in your training, and you'll find that the path to muscle growth becomes not only more effective but also more sustainable and rewarding in the long run. So the next time you step into the gym, remember, protein is just one piece of the puzzle. The real architects of muscle growth are your neurons, your brain, and your nervous system. Nourish them with good sleep, focused intention, and progressive challenge, because that's where true long-lasting hypertrophy begins. Thank you.